Jack London, The Unexpected, Part 7. When the fire had burned for an hour, several inches of dirt had thawed. This they shoveled out and then built a fresh fire. Their descent into the earth progressed at the rate of 2 or 3 inches an hour. It was hard and bitter work. The flurrying snow did not permit the fire to burn any too well, while the wind cut through their clothes and chilled their bodies. They held but little conversation. The wind interfered with speech. Beyond wondering at what could have been Denis's motive, they remained silent, oppressed by the horror of the tragedy. At 1 o'clock, looking toward the cabin, Hans announced that he was hungry. "No, not now, Hans," Edith answered. "I could not go back alone into that cabin the way it is and cook a meal." At 2 o'clock, Hans volunteered to go with her, but she held him to his work, and 4 o'clock found the 2 graves completed. They were shallow, not more than 2 feet deep, but they would serve the purpose. Night had fallen. Hans got the sled, and the 2 dead men were dragged through the darkness and storm to their frozen sepulchre. The funeral procession was anything but a pageant. The sled sank deep into the drifted snow and pulled hard. The man and the woman had eaten nothing since the previous day and were weak from hunger and exhaustion. They had not the strength to resist the wind, and at times its buffets hurled them off their feet. On several occasions the sled was overturned, and they were compelled to reload it with its somber freight. The last 100 feet to the graves was up a steep slope, and this they took on all fours, like sled dogs, making legs of their arms and thrusting their hands into the snow. Even so, they were twice dragged backward by the weight of the sled, and slid and fell down the hill, the living and the dead, the whole ropes and the sled in hasty entanglement. "Tomorrow I will put up headboards with their names," Hans said, when the graves were filled in. Edith was sobbing. A few broken sentences had been all she was capable of in the way of a funeral service, and now her husband was compelled to half carry her back to the cabin. Denis was conscious. He had rolled over and over on the floor in vain efforts to free himself. He watched Hans and Edith with glittering eyes, but made no attempt to speak. Hans still refused to touch the murderer, and sullenly watched Edith drag him across the floor to the men's bunk room. But try as she would, she could not lift him from the floor into his bunk. "Better let me shoot him, and we'll have no more trouble," Hans said in final appeal. Edith shook her head and bent again to her task. To her surprise, the body rose easily, and she knew Hans had relented and was helping her. Then came the cleansing of the kitchen, but the floor still shrieked the tragedy until Hans blended the surface of the stained wood away, and with the shavings made a fire in the stone. The days came and went. There was much of darkness and silence, broken only by the storms and the thunder on the beach of the freezing surf. Hans was obedient to Edith's slightest order. All his splendid initiative had vanished. She had elected to deal with the Nin in her way, and so he left the whole matter in her hands. The murderer was a constant menace. At all times there was the chance that he might free himself from his bonds, and they were compelled to guard him day and night. The man or the woman sat always beside him, holding the loaded shotgun. At first Edith tried 8-hour watches, but the continuous strain was too great, and afterwards she and Hans relieved each other every 4 hours, as they had to sleep. As the watches extended through the night, their whole waking time was expended in guarding the Nin. They had barely time left over for the preparation of meals and the getting of firewood.